What successful people do when no one is watching. Let me begin with a simple observation I learned early in life, not from a book or a seminar, but from watching people over many years. The greatest difference between those who live an ordinary life and those who build an extraordinary one is rarely found in what they do in public. It's found in what they do in private. It's found in the quiet hours, the unseen moments, the decisions made when applause is absent and recognition is nowhere in sight. That is where success is quietly built, brick by brick, habit by habit, decision by decision. You see, most people are willing to perform when someone is watching. They work harder when there's a supervisor nearby. They speak more carefully when an audience is listening. They show discipline when there's a deadline or a reward. But successful people understand something deeper. They understand that life keeps a very accurate record. And it doesn't just record what you do when the lights are on. It records who you are when the lights are off. It records how you treat your time, your thoughts, your health, and your commitments when no one is keeping score but you. I once knew a man who worked on a small farm. Nobody paid much attention to him. He wasn't famous, wealthy, or influential by public standards. Every morning before sunrise, he would walk the land, checking the soil, repairing fences, and preparing for the day ahead. No one applauded him for this. No one even knew he was doing it. But year after year, his land flourished while others struggled. When people asked him his secret, he smiled and said something that stayed with me forever. He said, "The land responds to what you do every day, not what you promise you'll do someday." That's the quiet discipline of success. Successful people don't wait to feel motivated. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They do the small, necessary things consistently, especially when no one is watching. They read when others are distracted. They practice when others are resting. They prepare when others are procrastinating. They understand that greatness is not a single dramatic act, but a long series of ordinary actions done with uncommon consistency. Now, let's talk about character, because character is who you are when no one can see you. Successful people guard their character fiercely. They tell the truth even when a lie would be easier. They honor commitments even when breaking them would go unnoticed. They choose integrity over convenience. Why? Because they understand that you cannot build a strong future on a weak foundation. Sooner or later, life tests what you've been building in private, and when that moment comes, you either stand tall or fall apart based on what you practiced when no one was watching. There's another habit successful people have in those quiet moments. They think carefully, while others let their minds drift wherever circumstances push them. Successful people take responsibility for their thoughts. They don't rehearse excuses. They don't dwell on bitterness. They don't repeatedly replay their failures as proof that they are finished. Instead, they reflect, they evaluate, and they adjust. They ask themselves better questions. What can I learn from this? What can I do better tomorrow? What responsibility do I need to take today? And those questions, asked in private, shape public results. You see, thinking is work. Serious thinking is hard work. That's why most people avoid it. But successful people understand that if you don't think for yourself, you'll end up living someone else's plan. In the quiet hours, when no one is demanding their attention, they sit with their thoughts. They plan, they dream, they measure progress honestly, they confront uncomfortable truths, they don't run from self-discipline, they embrace it as the price of freedom. Another thing successful people do when no one is watching is they invest in themselves. They read books that stretch their thinking. They listen to ideas that challenge their comfort zone. They develop skills long before those skills are required. They understand that income rarely exceeds personal growth. So while others are spending time only on entertainment, successful people are quietly sharpening their minds, not because someone told them to, but because they know who they want to become. I remember a young woman who worked an ordinary job but had extraordinary habits. After long work days, when most people collapsed into distraction, she studied, practiced new skills, and worked on improving herself. No one praised her for it. No one paid her extra for it. But a few years later, when opportunity knocked, she was ready. People called it luck. She called it preparation. What they didn't see were the nights she stayed disciplined when no one was watching. Successful people also manage their emotions differently in private. They don't let anger run their lives. They don't let fear dictate their decisions. They don't let disappointment turn into despair. They feel emotions, yes, but they don't become slaves to them. They process setbacks quietly, learning rather than complaining. They understand that emotional maturity is a competitive advantage. While others waste energy on blame and resentment, successful people conserve energy for growth. Let's talk about time, because time reveals everything. Successful people respect time even when there's no immediate consequence for wasting it. They don't abuse hours simply because no one is monitoring them. They know that time is life's most valuable currency. Once spent, it cannot be recovered. So in private, they choose progress over comfort more often than not. They understand that every hour is either an investment or an expense, and over years, those choices add up. Another powerful habit successful people practice unseen is consistency. They don't rely on bursts of enthusiasm. They rely on routines. They show up even when they don't feel like it. They keep promises to themselves, which builds self-trust. And self-trust is the backbone of confidence. When you know you will do what you say you will do, even in private, you develop a quiet strength that no one can take from you. Now, let me tell you something important. Successful people are not perfect. They fail, they doubt, they get tired. The difference is what they do next. When no one is watching, they get back up. They don't dramatize the failure. They don't quit because it's inconvenient. They take responsibility, correct course, and continue. They understand that progress is rarely straight, but persistence is non-negotiable. And here's a truth that separates the few from the many. Successful people don't chase validation. They don't need constant approval to keep going. They are internally driven. They measure success by growth, not applause. They know that if they do the right things long enough, recognition may come later. But even if it doesn't, the person they become is reward enough. Eventually, what is done in private always shows up in public. The discipline you practice alone becomes confidence in front of others. The skills you build quietly become competence when opportunity appears. The integrity you protect unseen becomes trust that others feel. Life has a way of revealing what you've been rehearsing all along. So if you're wondering why some people seem to rise steadily while others remain stuck, look beyond the spotlight. Look at the mornings, the evenings, the choices no one posts about. Look at what happens when excuses are easy and discipline is hard. That's where the real difference is made. Let me leave you with this moral, because every good story deserves one. Success is not created in moments of attention, but in moments of solitude. What you do when no one is watching is not just preparation for success, it is success in its earliest form. Guard your habits, discipline your thoughts, honor your commitments, and invest in yourself when the world isn't looking. Because someday it will look, and when it does, it will see not luck, not talent alone, but the quiet evidence of a life well directed.